The peaceful arrival. The star cruiser Eternal Harmony drifted through the void like a silver needle threading through black cloth. Its hull shimmered with bioluminescent patterns that pulsed gently, announcing peaceful intentions to anyone watching. Ambassador Terran of the Valorian Confederacy stood in the observation deck, his three-fingered hands clasped behind his back as he gazed at the small yellow star, growing larger ahead. Earth's sun looked unremarkable compared to the hundreds of stellar systems Terran had visited during his 2 centuries of diplomatic service. Yet this visit felt different somehow. Perhaps it was the reports from the survey teams, or maybe just the anticipation of welcoming another species into the galactic community. The Valorians had been doing this for over 5,000 years, guiding younger civilizations into the fold of advanced societies. Terran's second-in-command, Commander Liss, approached with a data slate clutched in her upper arms. Her scaled skin reflected the soft blue lighting of the ship's interior. "Ambassador, we have completed our final assessment of the human civilization. The results are quite standard." "Proceed with the report," Terran said, turning to face her. Liss activated the holographic display. Images of human settlements appeared in the air between them. The humans achieved faster-than-light capability approximately 43 years ago. They have established 9 colonies within their solar system, and 3 outposts in nearby star systems. Their population stands at roughly 14 billion across all settlements. Terran nodded slowly. "Military capabilities? Modest, as expected. We detected approximately 200 warships of various classes. Their largest vessels measure around 800 meters in length. Weapon systems include plasma cannons, kinetic railguns, and basic energy shields. By Valorian standards, they rank as a level 4 civilization, competent but not threatening." "And their society?" Terran asked, studying the images of Earth's blue oceans and green continents. "They unified under a single planetary government 70 years ago, after a series of devastating conflicts. Since then, they have maintained relative peace. Their culture values exploration, scientific advancement, and something they call individual liberty. They appear compatible with Confederacy values." Terran allowed himself a small smile. "Another successful integration awaits us then. Prepare the diplomatic package. Include the standard offerings, medical technology, agricultural enhancements, and access to our educational networks. Also prepare the protection treaties. I suspect they will be eager to accept our guidance." The Eternal Harmony crossed into Earth's solar system without incident. Human monitoring stations detected their approach immediately, but no defensive measures were activated. Good. The humans understood that the Valorians came as friends, not conquerors. As they passed the outer planets, Terran observed human activity with growing interest. Mining operations on several moons, research stations orbiting gas giants, and automated probes exploring every corner of their star system. The humans were busy, industrious even. They reminded him of the Keltharians, another species the Valorians had welcomed 3 centuries ago. "Ambassador, we are receiving a communication from human authorities," the communications officer announced. "They are inviting us to dock at a station they call Gateway. It orbits their homeworld. Accept their invitation. Respond with formal greetings in their primary languages." The Eternal Harmony adjusted course toward Earth. As they drew closer, Terran could see the sprawling orbital infrastructure surrounding the blue planet. Dozens of stations, hundreds of ships, and countless satellites created a web of activity that seemed impressive for such a young civilization. Gateway Station came into view. It was a massive rotating wheel that generated artificial gravity through centrifugal force, primitive compared to Valorian gravity manipulation technology, but elegant in its simplicity. The station's hull bore the symbols of various Earth nations united under a single banner. The docking procedure went smoothly. Terran and his diplomatic team, including Liss and 3 specialists in xenocultural integration, prepared to meet the humans for the first time. They wore their finest ceremonial robes, intricately woven with fibers that changed color based on emotional state. Currently, they displayed warm blues and greens indicating friendship and openness. The airlock opened with a hiss of equalizing pressure. Terran stepped through and got his first direct look at humanity. They were bipedal mammals, roughly similar in height to Valorians, but with only 2 arms and a remarkable variety of skin tones. Their faces were expressive, with two forward-facing eyes that suggested a predatory evolutionary history. Theron filed that observation away for later consideration. A woman with iron-gray hair and sharp, intelligent eyes stepped forward. She wore a dark blue uniform with minimal ornamentation, and her posture radiated quiet confidence. "Welcome to Gateway Station, Ambassador Theron. I am Director Sarah Chen of the United Earth Diplomatic Corps. On behalf of humanity, we are honored by your arrival." Theron performed the traditional Valorian greeting, a gesture combining elements of a bow and an open-handed display of peaceful intent. "Director Chen, I am Ambassador Theron of the Valorian Confederacy. We bring greetings from 500 civilized worlds and an invitation to join the greatest alliance in known space." Chen's expression remained pleasant but controlled. "We are grateful for your visit and eager to learn more about the Confederacy. We have prepared a conference chamber where we can discuss your proposal in detail. Please follow me." As they walked through Gateway Station's corridors, Theron observed everything with a diplomat's trained eye. The station was clean, efficient, and well-maintained. Human crew members moved with purpose and discipline. Security personnel were present but not aggressive. Everything seemed normal for a first-contact scenario, yet something nagged at Theron's mind. The humans showed no visible excitement, no overwhelming curiosity about meeting an alien species for the first time. They were professional, certainly, but almost too calm, as if they had been preparing for this moment rather than being surprised by it. The conference chamber was circular with a transparent dome overhead showing the stars beyond. A large oval table dominated the center, surrounded by chairs designed to accommodate various body types. Thoughtful of them, Theron noted. Once everyone was seated, Theron activated his personal holographic projector. Images filled the space above the table, showing the wonders of the Valorian Confederacy. Magnificent cities that floated among clouds, vast agricultural worlds that fed trillions, scientific research stations where the mysteries of the universe were unraveled daily. For 5,000 years, the Valorian Confederacy has maintained peace and prosperity across our region of the galaxy. Theron began his prepared speech. "We are a union of 500 species, all working together for the common good. We share knowledge freely, protect each other from external threats, and resolve conflicts through dialogue rather than violence." Director Chen watched the images with interest, but her expression remained carefully neutral. Beside her sat a man in a military uniform with more decorations than Theron had seen on the other humans. "This must be a senior military commander. The Confederacy operates on principles of mutual benefit," Theron continued. "Younger civilizations receive guidance, technology, and protection. In return, they contribute their unique perspectives and capabilities to our collective strength. It is a system that has brought peace to countless worlds." The military officer, who Chen had introduced as Admiral Marcus Webb, leaned forward slightly. "Protection from what exactly?" "The galaxy contains many dangers," Liz responded from her position beside Theron. "Pirate fleets, hostile entities, spatial anomalies that can destroy unprepared ships. The Confederacy maintains a security force that safeguards all member worlds." "I see," Webb said, making notes on a datapad. "And what would be Earth's role in this security force?" "Initially very minimal," Theron assured him. "New members typically hold junior status for their first century of membership. During this time, you would learn Confederacy protocols, adopt our standards for space travel and communication, and gradually integrate your military forces with our unified command structure." Something flickered across Chen's face. It was subtle, barely perceptible, but Theron caught it. Was that concern? Skepticism? He could not quite identify it. "A century is a long time," Chen observed. "What happens to our sovereignty during this period?" "You retain complete control over your internal affairs," Theron explained. "The Confederacy does not interfere with how member species govern themselves. However, external military actions and first contact protocols with other species would fall under Confederacy oversight. This prevents misunderstandings and conflicts that could endanger everyone." Admiral Webb set down his datapad. "So our military would ultimately answer to Confederacy command?" "In matters involving other species or external threats, yes," Liz confirmed. "But this is for everyone's protection, including yours. The Confederacy has extensive experience managing interstellar relations." Chen and Webb exchanged a glance. It was brief, but Theron sensed volumes of unspoken communication in that moment. These humans had clearly discussed this scenario extensively before the Valorians arrived. Ambassador Terran, we appreciate your thorough explanation, Chen said. However, humanity would like to request some time to discuss your proposal before providing an answer. Would 72 hours be acceptable? Terran felt a ripple of surprise that he carefully concealed. In his 2 centuries of diplomatic service, most species responded to the Confederacy's offer with immediate enthusiasm. They understood the benefits of membership and were eager to accept. Delays were unusual and often indicated concerns that needed to be addressed. Of course, Theron replied smoothly. Take all the time you need. This is perhaps the most important decision your species will ever make. We want you to be completely comfortable with your choice. Thank you for your understanding, Chen said, standing. We have prepared quarters for you and your team aboard Gateway Station. Please let us know if you require anything during your stay. As the diplomatic team was escorted to their accommodations, Theron pulled Liss aside. Something is not right here, he said quietly in their native language. I sensed it as well, Liss agreed. They are far too composed. Most species we encounter are overwhelmed by first contact. These humans treat it like a routine business negotiation. Increase passive monitoring of their communications, Theron ordered. I want to know what they are really thinking. But be careful. Do not take any actions that could be perceived as hostile or invasive. Over the next 24 hours, Theron and his team remained aboard Gateway Station while the humans deliberated. The Valorians were treated courteously, given access to recreational facilities and provided with meals compatible with their biology. Everything was perfectly pleasant. Yet Theron could not shake the feeling that the humans were waiting for something. His concern deepened when Liss brought him a troubling report in the privacy of their quarters. Ambassador, our passive sensors have detected unusual activity throughout the human solar system, Liss said, displaying a tactical map. Multiple military vessels are repositioning. Communication traffic has increased dramatically, particularly on encrypted military channels. Are they preparing for conflict? Theron asked, feeling his skin shift toward worried purple hues. Unknown. The encryption is far more sophisticated than we expected from a level 4 civilization. We can detect the communications but cannot decode them. Theron studied the map. What about their defensive posture toward us? No weapons have been aimed at the Eternal Harmony. In fact, they seem to be ignoring us entirely. Whatever they are preparing for, it does not appear to be related to our visit. That should have been reassuring, but somehow it made Theron more uneasy. He had been a diplomat long enough to know when something was being hidden from him. The answer came 36 hours into their stay on Gateway Station. Theron was reviewing diplomatic protocols when his communicator chimed urgently. It was the captain of the Eternal Harmony, a veteran spacer named Korath. Ambassador, you need to see this immediately. Korath's voice carried a tone Theron had never heard from the calm captain before. It sounded like awe mixed with fear. What is happening? Theron demanded, already moving toward the nearest observation deck. Something is emerging from hyperspace at the outer edge of the solar system. Something massive. Theron reached an observation window and accessed the tactical feed from his ship. At first, he saw only the distortion patterns typical of a vessel dropping out of faster-than-light travel. Then the distortions cleared, and Theron's 3 hearts seemed to stop beating simultaneously. A ship emerged from hyperspace, but calling it a ship was like calling a star a candle. The vessel stretched across space like a dark mountain of metal and composite armor. Its hull was angular and brutal, covered in ablative plating that seemed designed to absorb impossible amounts of damage. Weapon emplacements studded its surface like the scales of some prehistoric predator. Energy readings from its reactor core exceeded anything in the Valorian fleet by an order of magnitude. By the eternal light, Liss whispered beside him. How large is that thing? The computer provided measurements that seemed impossible. The ship measured 18 kilometers from bow to stern. Its mass exceeded 15 million tons. The energy signature suggested power output equivalent to a small star. As if the massive ship was not shocking enough, more vessels began emerging from hyperspace around it. 30 heavy cruisers, each one comparable in size to the Eternal Harmony, formed a perfect escort formation. They moved with mechanical precision, their positions calculated to provide overlapping defensive fields. A communication channel opened. A human voice, calm and professional, filled the bridge. This is the UN's indomitable Titan-Class Warship of the United Earth Navy. We have arrived for the diplomatic proceedings. Please transmit updated docking coordinates for Gateway Station. Theron could not speak. His mind refused to process what he was seeing. This was impossible. Completely impossible. The humans were level 4. They were supposed to be primitive, barely capable of defending their own solar system. They were not supposed to have weapons that could challenge the entire Valorian Confederacy. Ambassador, Korath's voice cut through Theron's shock. I am detecting 3 more signatures. Titan-class warships emerging from hyperspace at different vectors. They are taking up positions throughout the solar system. 4 of them. The humans had 4 of these monsters. Theron finally found his voice. Get me Director Chen, now. Within minutes, Chen's face appeared on his communicator. Her expression remained composed, but Theron thought he detected the faintest hint of satisfaction in her eyes. Director Chen. Theron struggled to keep his voice steady. I believe there has been a significant misunderstanding about humanity's technological capabilities. Chen tilted her head slightly. Has there? Or perhaps the Valorian Confederacy made assumptions based on incomplete data. Your warships, Theron said. Those Titan-class vessels, they were not in our initial survey. No, they would not have been, Chen replied. When we detected your approach, we had our Titan-class fleet conducting exercises in deep space, well beyond your scanning range. We thought it best to understand your intentions before revealing our full capabilities. But how? Liss blurted out. Your civilization achieved FTL travel only 43 years ago. Technology like that requires centuries of development. Chen's smile was enigmatic. Humanity has always had a talent for rapid innovation, especially when we feel threatened. And we spent a long time watching the stars, wondering what might be out there, preparing for the day when we would find out. Theron's mind raced. Everything the Valorians believed about humanity was wrong. These were not naive newcomers needing guidance. These were not primitives to be protected and shaped. These were warriors who had been preparing for first contact since before they left their own planet. I think, Chen said carefully, that we should continue our discussions, Ambassador, but perhaps on more equal terms than you initially proposed. As Theron watched the massive warship Indomitable take up position near Gateway Station, its shadow falling across the eternal harmony like a predator looming over prey, he realized that this first contact was not going to proceed. According to any protocol the Valorian Confederacy had ever written, the humans had not been waiting for the Valorians to offer protection. They had been waiting to see if they needed to defend themselves. The true nature of humanity. The conference chamber felt different this time. The same circular room, the same transparent dome showing stars overhead, but the atmosphere had transformed completely. Director Chen and Admiral Webb sat on one side of the table with confident posture. Ambassador Theron and Commander Liss sat opposite them, their skin colors betraying emotional states they could not fully conceal. Patches of purple anxiety mixed with gray uncertainty. Theron had spent the previous night reviewing everything the Valorian Confederacy knew about warfare. He had studied ancient conflicts from before the Age of Peace, examined the security protocols that protected 500 worlds, and tried to calculate what 4 Titan-class warships could do against the Confederacy fleet. The numbers were not comforting. Shall we begin again? Chen asked, her tone professional but lacking the deference she had shown during their first meeting. Yes, Theron said, choosing his words carefully. I believe our initial discussions were based on incorrect assumptions. I must apologize for the Valorian Confederacy's failure to properly assess your civilization's true capabilities. Admiral Webb leaned back in his chair. Your survey teams did exactly what we expected them to do. We showed you what we wanted you to see. 9 colonies, 3 outposts, and a fleet of medium-sized warships. All technically true, but incomplete. How incomplete? Liss asked, her voice tight. Chen activated a holographic display. New information filled the space between them. Humanity currently maintains 47 colonies and 17 major military installations across 12 star systems. Our fleet consists of 4 Titan-class warships, 68 heavy cruisers, 214 destroyers, and approximately 800 support vessels of various classifications. The numbers hit Theron like physical blows. That fleet size rivaled some of the major powers in the Confederacy. For a species that had only been spacefaring for 4 decades, it was beyond extraordinary. It was terrifying. Our technology base is more advanced than your initial assessment suggested, Chen continued. We have developed our own gravity manipulation systems, advanced AI for tactical coordination, and weapons capable of cracking planets if necessary. We also have extensive experience with military strategy and combined arms operations. Experience? Theron echoed. But you only recently achieved interstellar flight. Webb's expression hardened. Ambassador, humanity spent 10,000 years perfecting the art of warfare on our homeworld. We fought each other in conflicts that killed hundreds of millions. We developed weapons that could destroy our entire civilization multiple times over. When we finally unified and reached for the stars, we did not forget those lessons. We simply applied them on a larger scale. Theron felt his hands trembling slightly. He clasped them together to hide the reaction. Then why did you hide your true strength? Why allow us to believe you were weaker than you are? Because we learned something important from our own history, Chen said, her voice taking on a harder edge. When a strong power approaches a weaker one claiming to offer protection and guidance, it rarely ends well for the weaker party. Sometimes the strong power has good intentions, sometimes it becomes a benevolent protector, but always the relationship is built on inequality. She leaned forward, her eyes locked on Theron's. We wanted to see what kind of civilization you really are. Would you treat us as equals? Or would you assume we needed to be controlled, managed, and guided like children? The accusation stung because it was accurate. Theron had approached this first contact with exactly that mindset. The Valorians always did. 5,000 years of being the elder civilization had made it automatic. The Confederacy means well, Theron said defensively. We have brought peace to hundreds of worlds. We have prevented countless conflicts and saved civilizations from self-destruction. At what cost? Webb asked. How many of those civilizations retained real independence? How many became client states that relied on Confederacy protection? Because they never developed their own strength. Liss bristled at the implication. The Confederacy does not create dependencies. We offer guidance that allows species to grow at their own pace. Under your oversight, Chen countered. With your protocols, following your example, that is not independence, Commander. That is assimilation with better public relations. The words hung in the air like an accusation. Theron wanted to argue, to defend the system that had maintained peace for millennia. But Chen's point struck uncomfortably close to truths he had always avoided examining too closely. What do you want from us? Theron asked finally. If you will not accept membership in the Confederacy, why allow us to make contact at all? You could have simply warned us away. Chen's expression softened slightly. Because despite our reservations, we do believe the Valorian Confederacy has valuable knowledge and experience to share. Your civilization has achieved something remarkable by maintaining peace for so long. Your technology in medical science, environmental management, and cultural exchange could benefit humanity greatly. But we will not trade our sovereignty for those benefits, Webb added firmly. We will not subordinate our military to external command. We will not accept junior status or a probationary period where others make decisions about our security. Then what kind of relationship are you proposing? Liss asked. An alliance between equals, Chen said simply. The Valorian Confederacy and the United Earth Government as partners, not patron and client. We share technology freely in both directions. We coordinate on mutual threats but maintain independent command of our own forces. We work together because we choose to, not because one party depends on the other. Theron considered the proposal carefully. It was unprecedented in Confederacy history. Every species that joined had done so as juniors, accepting guidance from their elders. The system worked because it was orderly, predictable, and safe. What Chen proposed was none of those things. The Confederacy Council would never accept such terms, Theron said slowly. They would see it as undermining the entire structure of our alliance. Then perhaps your structure needs to be reconsidered, Webb said bluntly. The galaxy is not static, Ambassador. New civilizations will continue emerging. Some of them, like us, will have developed strength before you find them. You can either adapt to a more equal model of cooperation, or you will eventually face conflicts you cannot control. Before Theron could respond, his communicator chimed urgently. Captain Korath's voice came through, tight with stress. Ambassador, we have a situation. A Confederacy battle fleet just dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. 40 warships led by the Radiant Justice. They are broadcasting a priority message for you. Theron's skin flushed bright purple with alarm. The Radiant Justice was the flagship of Battle Commander Vrax, one of the most aggressive officers in the Confederacy military. His presence here was not a coincidence. "Excuse me," Theron said to the humans, activating his communicator. "This is Ambassador Theron. What is Battle Commander Vrax doing in this system?" Vrax's face appeared on the small holographic display. He was a Kryn, a species known for their martial culture and rigid adherence to hierarchy. His scaled features were set in an expression of grim determination. "Ambassador Theron, I received reports about your situation here. A newly contacted species displaying military capabilities far beyond their assessed level. My fleet is here to provide support and ensure the security of the Confederacy delegation." "That is completely unnecessary," Theron protested. "The humans have shown no hostile intent. This is a diplomatic situation, not a military crisis." "With respect, Ambassador, that is not your decision to make," Vrax replied. "When a species displays deception about their military capabilities during first contact, it triggers security protocols. I am authorized to take whatever measures necessary to protect Confederacy interests." Theron saw Chen and Webb exchanging rapid, silent communication across the table. Admiral Webb tapped something on his datapad. "Battle Commander Vrax, this is Admiral Marcus Webb of United Earth Navy," Webb said, his voice cutting across the communication channel. "Your fleet has entered Earth's solar system without permission. You will halt your advance immediately and state your intentions." Vrax's expression showed disdain. "I do not negotiate with military officers of unproven civilizations. You will power down your weapons and allow Confederacy forces to establish proper protocols for this system." "That will not be happening," Webb said flatly. "Your fleet is currently outnumbered and outgunned. I strongly suggest you reconsider your approach." Vrax actually laughed. "Outnumbered? I have 40 warships crewed by species with centuries of military tradition. You have cobbled together a fleet in less than half a century. Do not mistake size for capability, human." "Admiral Webb is not exaggerating," Theron interjected quickly. "The humans possess 4 Titan-Class warships and extensive supporting forces. Their technology is far more advanced than our initial assessment indicated. 4 large ships do not make a fleet," Vrax dismissed. "We have faced larger vessels before. Size means nothing without proper tactical doctrine and experienced crews." Webb's smile was cold and devoid of humor. "You are welcome to test that theory, Battle Commander. But I should inform you that all 4 Titan-Class warships are currently in position, with targeting solutions locked on every ship in your fleet. Additionally, you are now surrounded by 60 of our heavy cruisers that you apparently did not detect approaching. Our cloaking technology is quite effective." On Theron's tactical display, new signatures suddenly appeared. Dozens of human warships had materialized around Vrax's fleet, having approached under some form of stealth system. The Confederacy ships were now completely surrounded. Vrax's expression shifted from confidence to uncertainty. "This is a violation of first contact protocols. The Confederacy Council will hear of this deception." "You are the one who brought a battle fleet to a diplomatic meeting," Chen said, her voice sharp. "We are simply demonstrating that such shows of force are pointless when dealing with humanity." "We do not intimidate easily, Battle Commander." Theron watched the tactical situation with growing horror. This first contact was spiraling toward potential combat. If shooting started, both sides would suffer massive casualties. Even if the Confederacy won, the political consequences would be catastrophic. And based on the tactical positioning, Theron was not confident the Confederacy would win. "Battle Commander Vrax," Theron said urgently, "I am formally requesting that you withdraw your fleet immediately. The situation here requires diplomatic resolution, not military posturing. Your presence is making peace more difficult, not easier." Vrax looked like he wanted to argue, but even his warrior pride had limits. Being surrounded by hidden ships with superior positioning was not a scenario that favored aggressive action. "Very well, Ambassador," Vrax said through clenched jaw, "but I will be filing a full report with the Council. These humans are dangerous and unpredictable. They should not be trusted." "Noted," Theron said. "Now please withdraw before someone makes a mistake we will all regret." Vrax's image disappeared. Moments later, the Confederacy battle fleet began moving away from Earth's solar system. The human ships maintained their positions until the Confederacy vessels reached the hyperspace jump point. Then they too began dispersing. Webb closed his datapad with a decisive click. That was unfortunate but instructive. Your Confederacy's first instinct when faced with something unexpected is to send warships. That tells us a great deal about how your peace is maintained. Theron wanted to defend his civilization again, but the words would not come. Webb was right. The Confederacy maintained peace through overwhelming strength and the implied threat of what would happen to species that did not cooperate. It worked when dealing with genuinely weaker civilizations, but humanity was not weak, and they clearly would not accept that dynamic. What happens now? Liz asked quietly. Chen stood walking to the transparent dome and looking out at the stars. That depends on the Valorian Confederacy. You can report back to your council that humanity is too dangerous to engage with, that we should be isolated and contained, or you can recommend a new type of relationship, one based on mutual respect between equals. If you choose containment, it will not end well, Webb added. We will not accept being boxed in or threatened. But if you choose partnership, humanity can offer things your Confederacy has never had before. New perspectives, innovative technology, and allies who will stand with you by choice rather than obligation. Theron stood as well, moving to join Chen at the window. Below them, Earth rotated peacefully, its oceans and continents lit by the sun. Billions of humans lived on that world, and trillions more spread across dozens of colonies. They were not going to submit to external control. They were not going to accept protection they did not need. They had prepared for this moment since before they left their planet, and they would not be intimidated into accepting an inferior position. The Valorian Confederacy had two choices: adapt or face conflict with a species that might actually be able to challenge them. I will recommend to the Council that we pursue your proposed alliance, Theron said finally. A partnership between equals. It will be difficult to convince them, and many will oppose the idea. But you are correct that the galaxy is changing. Perhaps it is time for the Confederacy to change with it. Chen turned to face him, extending her hand in the human gesture of agreement. Then let us work together to build something better than what either of our civilizations had before. Not patron and client, not conqueror and conquered, but true allies facing the unknown together. Theron clasped her hand carefully, feeling the warmth of human skin against his own cooler touch. This was not the first contact scenario he had expected or prepared for, but perhaps it was the one both civilizations needed. I must warn you, Theron said. There will be resistance in the Confederacy. Species like the Kryn who believe in hierarchy and strength above all. This new relationship will face challenges. Webb moved to join them at the window. Humanity has faced challenges before, Ambassador. We have overcome extinction events, survived plagues, and pulled ourselves back from the brink of nuclear annihilation. We have fought wars that lasted generations and made peace that lasted centuries. Whatever challenges come, we will face them together. As Theron looked out at Earth, he realized something profound. For 5,000 years, the Valorian Confederacy had believed they were bringing civilization to the galaxy. They had seen themselves as teachers guiding younger species toward enlightenment and peace. But perhaps they had become stagnant in their certainty. Perhaps they needed humanity's fierce independence and refusal to accept easy answers. Perhaps true peace was not imposed from above by a strong patron, but built between equals who chose to stand together. The Titan-Class Warship Indomitable drifted past the station, its massive bulk blocking out stars. It was a symbol of human strength and determination, but more than that, it was a symbol of humanity's refusal to be anyone's junior partner or protected client. Theron sent a message to Captain Korath. Prepare a full report for the Confederacy Council. Include everything we have learned about human capabilities, and add my personal recommendation that we enter into alliance negotiations on the terms humanity has proposed. Are you certain, Ambassador? Korath's voice carried surprise. The Council has never accepted such terms before. Then it is time they started, Theron replied. Because the alternative is conflict with a species that might actually win. And even if we won, what would we become in the process? The Confederacy was founded on principles of peace and cooperation. Forcing humanity to submit through violence would betray everything we claim to stand for. He closed the communication and turned back to Chen and Webb. I cannot promise this will be easy, but I give you my word that I will fight for this alliance within the Confederacy. You have shown us that there is another way. Now we must convince 500 worlds to embrace it. Chen smiled. One world at a time, Ambassador. That is how humanity learned to work together. We did not achieve unity overnight. It took time, patience, and countless difficult conversations. If we could unite 14 billion humans with thousands of different cultures, surely the Confederacy can adapt to include one more voice at the table. Over the following weeks, Terran worked tirelessly to build support for the new alliance model. He sent detailed reports to every council member, explaining not just humanity's military capabilities, but their philosophy and approach to interstellar relations. He emphasized the benefits of having such capable allies rather than forcing them into a subordinate position that would breed resentment. The response was mixed. Progressive species saw the wisdom in adapting to changing circumstances. Conservative species saw it as undermining the entire Confederacy structure. Military commanders worried about setting precedents that other species might exploit. But slowly, opinion began to shift. Partly because Theron's arguments were compelling, partly because no one wanted to face humanity's Titan-Class warships in actual combat, and partly because some council members recognized that the Confederacy had grown complacent, assuming their way was the only way. 6 months after first contact, the Confederacy Council voted to accept humanity's proposed alliance terms. It was not unanimous, but the majority recognized reality. Humanity would never accept subordinate status, and forcing the issue would lead to war that might tear the Confederacy apart. The formal treaty signing took place aboard Gateway Station. Representatives from 200 Confederacy species attended, along with human dignitaries from across Earth's colonies. It was history being made, a new model for how civilizations could work together. Theron stood beside Chen as they prepared to sign the document. "You have changed the Confederacy forever," he said quietly. "For 5,000 years we followed one model. Now we must learn a new way." Chen met his eyes. "Change is frightening but necessary." Humanity learned that lesson many times. We nearly destroyed ourselves refusing to change, and we nearly stagnated when we resisted innovation. The galaxy is vast and full of surprises. Any civilization that stops adapting is already dying. They signed the treaty together, human and alien, establishing the first equal partnership in Confederacy history. Other species were already taking notice. 3 more civilizations had petitioned for similar alliance terms rather than junior membership. As the ceremony concluded and attendees celebrated, Admiral Webb approached Theron. "I wanted to thank you, Ambassador. You could have recommended containment or conflict. Instead, you chose to build bridges." Theron's skin displayed warm blue satisfaction. "I chose survival, Admiral, not just for the Confederacy, but for the principle of peaceful cooperation. If we had tried to force humanity into submission, we would have won the battle but lost our soul." Webb nodded slowly. "Humanity has a saying, peace through strength. It means that true peace is not imposed by the strong upon the weak. It is built when all parties are strong enough to destroy each other, but wise enough to choose cooperation instead." "A profound concept," Theron agreed. "Perhaps one the Confederacy needed to learn." Months turned into years. The alliance between the Valorian Confederacy and United Earth Government grew stronger. Human technology advanced Confederacy capabilities in weapons development, tactical doctrine, and defensive systems. Confederacy knowledge helped humanity refine their medical science, agricultural efficiency, and cultural understanding. More importantly, the relationship changed how the Confederacy viewed itself. Other species began demanding more equal terms. The old patron-client model was not abandoned entirely, but it was no longer the only option. The Confederacy was becoming a true alliance of equals rather than a pyramid with the Valorians at the top.